Alright, hello SpeedGaming 3. Welcome to the Aria of Sorrow Randomizer Tournament 2022. This is I believe, loser's bracket match between Lunix and Derxu. This is a best of 3. We will have the first 2 matches today, and if we need a third one, that'll be, I want to say tomorrow? Yep, tomorrow at 3 p.m. For the flag set, we're using the standard tournament flag set of Panther First, Shop Sanity, which means the hammer shop is unlocked at the start of the seed, and the items are randomized. Area Shuffle, which means that the area transition red doors go to random locations. And Boss Shuffle, which means that the bosses that can be shuffled are shuffled. We're going to be starting off to see the shop here. Final Sword and Shop for 15k. Pitch Black Suit's a bit expensive, but you really don't need anything else when there's a Final Sword that you can actually buy. So we're going to see both runners pick up that Final Sword, head off, and that'll probably be a good start to both seeds. Final Sword is the best weapon in the entire game. It double hits. It deals, I believe, the most damage out of anything in the entire game. The only reason that some people don't like it is that it does not auto-cancel on landing. To use it most efficiently, you need the backdash soul, which the runners do not have yet, though we may see it coming up soon. We are starting off with Black Panther. We can just see it was at the top there. And I believe Lunix grabbed it with some early usage of the Harpy Soul, is that? So, taking a bit of an early lead by having the speed. And headed into here. Gonna take the save. This is helpful mostly so that the runners can sleep out of rooms. Because if you forget to save for a while, then you may go into, say, Stormy Tower in quarters, try to sleep out, and not be able to. Lunix did skip a check that we're gonna see Derxu do here. Vanilla Flying Armor. This isn't very commonly good, but it could have. It doesn't have anything, and that's why Lunix skipped it. On occasion, you could see the Double Jump Soul Malfist there, but that's very rare. Getting Flying Armor, that's pretty useless in this preset. Panther mostly completes all the same tasks as it, within a couple exceptions. Good use of the Final Sword to get that Skula there, as well as a Red Soul. I want to say Bomber Armor it was. Pretty good Red Soul. Or no, it was Disc Armor, sorry. Flying Armor does have a couple niche applications to out-of-logic climb the waterfall in Reservoir, but I don't know if we'll be seeing any of that today. Hit enter. Now, since we haven't gotten Malphus yet, the runners only have a couple places they can go. There's an area exit at the start of the seed where they could head left, and there's this area exit to the right of corridors, as well as 3 more item checks. So we're going to see both runners heading to the right, probably to check these 3 checks at the bottom, hope for Malphus, and if not, head into either study or chapel. We did just see the blue book there, in that back locked location. Can't get that yet, not without Bat, but it's good to keep in mind, as once you get the other 2 books, once you get Bat, you can head right back here to corridors and grab that. So Lunix took the save up at the top and reset out after seeing that those checks at the bottom were nothing, so he saved a couple of seconds on the way back. Derxu chose to grab those grapes meanwhile. And entering into Study. Study is one of 2 areas that you're supposed to go through without Malphus in the vanilla game, the other being Chapel. So typically if you don't find Malphus immediately in the corridors, you're gonna see either Study or Chapel on the end of corridors. Getting Tree Skull Blue Soul, that's a very good familiar. Sees a lot of use in the any percent route of the game. Deals quite a lot of damage for its relatively cheap cost. And it's probably Malphus? Yeah, there we go. double jump for both runners coming up. Now this will allow them to explore a lot more of the castle here, as well as get these item checks that require the box. Ooh, another Grey Soul. Lunix trying to get at it with the final sword, but it may be just more worth it to go back and get the box for the box puzzle. Derxu doing the same. That really looks like it should hit. And that's Kicker. Pretty useful soul. It can be used to dodge. Did Derxu grab Kicker, or did he choose to skip that? Looks like he's heading back to get it. Kicker can be used to get a couple of item checks out of logic that normally require either flight or Undine. And it's good for clutch dodges in some of the later boss fights. There we go, Derxu's heading to grab Kicker. Lunix gonna go to the bottom, grab Undine through the wall, and then probably head off to the boss. And Aranus, that could be useful depending on what the boss is. Typically you don't want to have Aranus equipped all the time, since it's just a waste of your slot. Most enemies don't give enough experience, but if you're going to be killing, say, Legion or Balor, it can be worth equipping Aranus. That's very good. Giant Bat, that is the flight they need to access Blue Book, as well as it serves as the slide to get out of Study. So with Giant Bat, they'll be able to exit this area. Additionally, the boss here is Headhunter, which will be very easy with Final Sword. Kicker would help you grab that item. Do you mean the item where Kicker was? Because I've never considered that, but you might be right. I'll have to give that a try. We're gonna see not really too much trouble here. Taking a bit of damage, but you know, as long as you take a heal, this fight goes very fast. It takes the Ukobak Soul. And kick off that candle. I will have to try that. Flame Necklace, not a very good reward, but Headhunter does unlock a bit more of the random hammer shop. One of two bosses that do so, along with Death. So as that shop, as we've already seen, is not weighted at all, we could see some very good armor or souls in there. Now off to using Giant Bat to get through this door. Takes the runners down to Vanilla Floating Gardens door, and it looks like Lunix is choosing to head back, head back, probably to come out the other side next to the Blue Book to grab that, and then use the newfound power of flight to access one of the nearby flight checks. Derxu is using Skula instead to do the Skula check here, Vanilla Reservoir. And that's Chapel. Interesting. That, I think, also may not have been logic, but it would have definitely been doable when the runners got Skula before they got Malphus. So Chapel, pretty easy area with Malphus and Panther. You'll be able to get every single item here. Did Lunix check out what the book was? Because I wasn't paying attention. Oh, early Rush Soul for Derxu. And into Reservoir for Lunix. Not an especially good area with the lack of armor that he has there. I think just like gym clothes, I want to say. Stilk robe. So there's a couple checks you can do here, as well as the area check down to the bottom. Final guard from Tsukinoko. Well, that's not going to be a fun farm. Pretty good blue, though not as necessary in this reset. We did get the gold plate for Lunix. Very good defense there, and he's headed out. Derxu finds Slide in Chapel. And a rare ring. I know there's some rare ring believers in chat here. The rare ring doubles the drop chance of rare items from enemies. So it can sometimes give you some very good item checks. Lunix finds a duplicate Skula. And headed up to the waterfall, or up to the wharf next to the waterfall. Now we're gonna see both runners back at the start. Check the hammer shell. And gets Hippo, very nice. Derxu's already almost at that full bingo card. Didn't see a whole lot of nice things in the shop. There was some ramen, but I don't remember how much that cost. Vijay is pretty nice for a short sword. Without backdash, it can definitely be good to put on while moving around. Yasutsuna would otherwise be decent, but with Final Sword, there's not much reason to. Oh, that is actually some very cheap ramen. So Lunix grabbed 9 of that. Valkyrie Red Soul, pretty nice. And it looks like Derxu also picked up the Yasutsuna. Interesting. Corridors connects to corridors. Lunix really wants that meat. And Derxu is headed up to Vanilla Dance Hall. Meanwhile, Lunix headed over to the waterfall checks with Hippogriff. No longer limited by MP, so we'll be able to get all of these checks. We do see Red Book there, in Eastern Reservoir, as well as the Iron Golem Soul. Very good when you have a lot of defense or health, since it keeps you from taking knockback, allowing you to run straight through enemies with Panther. Now that Lunix knows that Red Book is there, it'll be interesting to see if he decides to go into Eastern Reservoir immediately. And the answer is he will. So we're going to see him headed over here to do these checks in the right and get Red Book. It's already a very fast seed with the gear they've got and 2 books plus flight already. Derxu's headed into the other side of Reservoir. So we're going to see both runners in here right now. Where are the areas? That's a good question. Probably, let's call it left Reservoir connects to inner quarters. Medusa had a random drop from Needles. That's pretty good. Very useful soul on Chaos 2. Nice knife. Let's see, Derxu headed over to Waterfall. Bit low health here. Might take a death, but gets the heal off, so back to safety. And now Derxu sees the red book. So Derxu knows where 2 books are right now, but has neither. While Lunix has the blue book already and is off to go grab that red book. Sees the Balmung. Another very good endgame weapon, though it's a bit unwieldy against Chaos and Graham. It can serve great purpose against Julius. We're gonna see Derxu heading through Waterfall with that Rush Soul that he grabbed. I skipped the red book again. I'm so good at tracking. And through Waterfall is Floating Gardens. Tiny Devil from Giant Skeleton. Okay, so Tiny Devil and Final Guard. I don't believe either runner has either of those. Very good to know where Floating Gardens is. It'll be interesting to see if the other exit is a bit more convenient. Headhunter, and Lunix finds Arena through Vanilla Reservoir corridors. The other one. Arena's a dead end, no exits out of this, besides the one that you come in. But it's pretty high. Duplicate red book right next to the other red book. Derxu, meanwhile, finds a dance hall. Satan's ring in there. Taking a lot of damage. Almost dies to that mimic there. We see the danger of Iron Golem. Though you don't take any knockback, your iframes are decreased heavily. So if you linger on an enemy for a while, you can take 2 or maybe even 3 hits. Lunix looks like might be trying to kill this enemy, which is very slow. Decides to take the tank instead, gets the giant ghost soul for his troubles. Might still be trying to kill it. Derxu's clearing out the top of Dance Hall now. Sees nothing, so chooses to reset to that save point. There we go, gets the kill. Lots of XP from that. But still pretty time consuming. And Derxu headed down to the bottom of Dance Hall, choosing to head to the slower check on the right first. This is probably partially influenced by having Iron Golem. Since you don't take any knockback, it's a lot easier to get this check through this long hallway of enemies. Though we are seeing just how much damage you can take. Lunix does the lubricant room, gets fronting for his troubles. And Derxu just tapping the save point for a heal there before entering into the this boss room with Belor. Worst room rewards nothing. Derxu trying at Yasutsuna, hitting 20 times 2, before swapping over to Final Sword for the 75 times 2. Now, Belor has 4,000 HP, so it goes very fast, especially once you get into the second phase, where his defense is actually reduced. Lunix, meanwhile, enters into the Legion boss fight, but with Final Sword and Elfin Robe. Final Sword Gold Plate doesn't really be that tough of a fight, though it might take a bit, since no backdash means Lunix will be forced to wait out the full duration of his attacks. Choosing to just face tank this damage in the corner using his massive supply of ramen. And it works out. He's taken down enough of the shell that he can sit there safely. And Derxu finishes off Balor. So after this, both runners are going to have a good bit of an experience. Balor gives 16,000 and Legion gives 12,000. That's about a level of difference, around level 15, 16. And that'll have the runners set for the rest of the game. Derxu exiting Dance Hall finds Lower Clock Tower. There's a warp here, but he chooses to skip it. Making great use of Kicker Skeleton to get through that Skula door without having to equip Skula quite yet. And headed straight to the checks on the lower left side of Clock Tower. These are pretty high weight, so you might see a book here. Could see some more progression like Galamoth. It looks like Lunix is going to be headed to the left side of Reservoir. Nothing good on these lower checks for Derxu. But since he didn't head up and hasn't saved, he has to head all the way out instead of just save splitting. Yeah, Derxu hasn't seen Red Book. But you could make note of the red soul that you got there. It just depends how much you want to risk it. That is backdash behind Great Armor up in Clock Tower. So Derxu can now make full use of that final sword that both runners have. Lunix, meanwhile, the far left reservoir exit has brought him to a forbidden area. He did, however, save before coming in here, so it's entirely possible he does these checks, and never mind. That's Galamoth. I don't think you want to reset this anymore. Derxu finds top floor, heading straight up. And that's the blue soul, not that Derxu knows it. But when he does finally go back for that blue book, he will be set to have that soul already. Yeah, and it looks like Lunix grabbed that last check and is heading out of Forbidden, keeping Galamoth. Upward leads to its own dead end? Inner quarters still exists. So I don't think that'll be the case. Because we haven't seen any of quarters. Derxu does find a dupe blue book in top floor, right next to that final guard soul. Very lucky. That does save Derxu the pain of having to backtrack through corridors. Lunix finds a positron rifle in quarters. Another very good weapon. Very good against Julius, against Chaos Phase 1, against the Eyes of Chaos. Probably not better than Final Sword, but it's honestly comparable, and that's impressive when you're comparing against the best weapon in the game. Red Soul for Derxu as well, very nice. Was that at the top? Ooh. Was that at the top floor? And Aranis from Dryad, that is blue yellow book for Lunix, and he does have the soul. It was Calibulg's spot. Smile, I've never played this game. Where is Calibulg? But top floor does take Derxu to inner quarters, and inner quarters on the other side connects to cemetery. Oh, top. Okay, I see. Yeah. Derxu has all 3 souls but doesn't know it? Yeah. He needs to grab that, grab Red Book, of which we know 2 copies. The only 2 copies in Reservoir and Arena. Though he has seen the one in Reservoir. And he needs Blue Book. Not Blue Book, Yellow Book, which is, I believe, on the other side of inner quarters. First Com needs to play the game? No. I only play Julius mode. I'm sorry. If you gave me item locations in like, oh, it's the item where Julius does Catoblepus Zip, then I'd know exactly what you're talking about. Lunix grabs backdash up there, so now both runners can use Final Guard, or Final Sword to its fullest extent. And Derxu, I do not believe he found anything of use in Cemetery. Gonna take that heal at the save and then head on out. We could see Lunix full clear Cemetery or head straight left to top floor. Though unfortunately, as that's the top floor dead end, he'll have to head to the warp to find the other entrance in. I am kind of surprised that Derxu's not going for the books, though. Since, what? He already has Blue Book, he has that soul. Derxu could just head off, go to the Red Book that he knows where it is, check to see if what that is. Though I think he's probably gonna do that, actually, right after this death fight. Since I think he finds Yellow Book here. I lied. Yellow Book is behind Galamoth, and he does not have Galamoth, so he doesn't find Yellow Book. Smile Fires is once again correct. Right, I think we just saw a triple hit from Final Sword on death there. Showing just how insane that weapon can be. Or it's a bit more unwieldy to use, but the damage it can output is insane. And Lunix finishes clearing Cemetery. Heading up to that warp now. Derxu gonna find Positron. And Lunix headed off to the start. There was a dupe Red Book, and there was also a dupe Yellow Book. Dupe Blue Book. It's a 50% chance on whether it gets duped or not. Interesting seed here with how inner quarters was literally dead-ended on all sides. If you spawned in inner quarters, you would not be able to leave. Because it's cut off by top floor exit, forbidden exit, and the cemetery dead end. Manticore on shop for Lunix. So that will allow him to go through the waterfall and find floating gardens if he so chooses. Yeah, it was super red and blue. And we've not seen a second yellow copy. Can the Chaos Ring appear in Rando? Yes, it can. Chaos Ring is very rare, but we have seen it before. I don't think there's been a Chaos Ring seed this tournament. But you have to take my word for it. It does exist. Lunix finds the top floor dead end now. Gonna turn around, head the other way, and off to try a different exit. I think this is Forbidden, so Derxu will find Galamoth in Forbidden, and knows that Forbidden connects to Inner Quarters. So if he chooses to do these checks, then Derxu will also know where all the books are. So very low, might want to take a heal here. We'll see Lunix headed down to the Skula check. I don't remember what this is. I think Chapel, was it? Yeah. Now Lunix has all the books, I believe, but is still looking for those souls. So he's gonna keep doing these item checks just on the off chance it's one of his required souls. He only has yellow soul. Urksugala? Oh yeah. I should do that. Yep, Derxu heading into quarters, gonna do this Galamoth check here. And with slide for Lunix, that is the full bingo card. Now I can stop tracking. So with this, Derxu is gonna have all 2 of the 3 books, and he knows where Red Book is. He does have both those souls, so I think we're gonna see Derxu heading off to find Red Book. It was in Eastern Reservoir. Meanwhile, Lunix needs to go head off and find Top Floor, which was somewhere. Doppelganger is not a boss in this game. I don't believe. Headhunter was the first boss they fought. It was in Study. Lunix is headed to the waterfall. This will bring him to Floating Gardens. And then past Floating Gardens is something that I don't remember. But it is probably on the path to Top Floor. So it's a bit of a race here. Derxu needs that Red Book, and Lunix needs Top Floor. And whichever one of them finds that first is going to probably be reaching those final bosses a bit earlier and have a good chance. Derxu heads to that blue book, but that's not the book that he needs. He needs to go find Red Book. Good on him for remembering that there was a book there, but just the wrong book to remember. But there we go, this exit brings Derxu into Reservoir, and now we can get headed to those eastern checks. Is this a race? This is a race. This is actually a very close race. I would say Derxu is a bit ahead right now, since it looks like Lunix also has Dance Hall to full clear before he can go to Top Floor, which I want to say is through here. So Derxu, random Chronomage drop from Une. Derxu, once he finds the red book in just a few minutes. We'll already be in go mode. Lunix would rather have literally nothing equipped than the rare rare. You know, Chewie, you're right. Some runners are like that. Some runners hate good accessories. And that's red book for Derxu. That's all 3 souls that he has right now. Sleeps out of that room. That was interesting tech. I know I've done that before. You get an item check and you're just like, oh, now I sleep here. But just kidding, you don't sleep there. Lunix, please don't do it. Lunix, please do not do this. Oh my god, it worked. What the... Lunix farmed Tsuchinoko twice and got the soul? That is... an absolute joke. Oh, Derxu takes a death heading up to the arena warp. That puts him back at the last place he saved, in inner quarters. He does still have his souls, I believe? Yep, he just checked all 3 of them. Aranis, Final Guard, and Tiny Devil. Though he has lost the book knowledge, so if he has forgotten what souls they are, that could be pretty awkward. Heads back to grab that positron rifle. But now Derx needs to head off the top floor. And Lunix needs to find the top floor. There are more areas in this game than I remember seeing. Top floor is left exit from here? Okay. So hopefully Lunix doesn't decide to save split top right exit as well. Hopefully it's just save split the bottom checks. And Derxu is headed to Reservoir. Looks like he does not remember some of the information that he has. So I think he's gonna go grab Red Book again? Gets the random Chronomage again. That could be good if he also forgot Yellow Soul, since he can use that Chronomage to do the Galamoth check. Oh, that would make sense, Smile. And we're going to be seeing Lunix enter top floor in about a minute here. Derxu, where are you going? Good question. It might actually be less of a race now. Because I think Derxu is heading to get Galamoth again. But he doesn't need to get Galamoth. Lunix finds top floor. Almost takes a death to that final guard there, trying to decide if he wants a mana prism. Alright, Derxu headed to Galamoth now. Did not grab Galamoth. So he can use the Chronomage Soul here. So Derxu headed back to the warp in inner quarters to head somewhere else. Lunix found Final Guard. Lunix now has, I think, 2 copies of that. Just needs to get that Tiny Devil in, as I've been told, Calibulk spot. Gets that Duke Blue Book there. This is a 5-book seed. And that's going to be Tiny Devil. Lunix is now in go mode. And immediately recognizes that fact and is headed straight to Graham. I think Derxu has remembered the souls and is headed up to fight Graham. So this is still is a very close race. They're going to be on Graham at the same time here, just a phase and a half apart. We are seeing a big damage difference here. Lunix hitting around 150 with Manticore to Curly's 60. Really shows the hierarchy of the Rush Souls quite well. And Graham is another one of those bosses where Final Sword is really good, hitting very consistent double hits on the core. So we're seeing that third phase go down very fast. And Lunix through Graham. They have Positron too? Yes. And a Rune Ring as well. Derxu on to phase 2 using Vijaya. Not a lot of damage compared to Final Sword, which would be hitting around 60 here. The double hits are nice, but that lowers damage, so against Graham is very high defense. It's going to be very rough. Though it could just be, I think Derxu might be out of healing right now. So he needs to get through this fight so he can head to Hammer Shop and buy some ramen. And in that case, using Vijaya here is a lot safer, as the weapon auto-cancels. I might see some Final Guard slide strats here. Because if you crouch on this phase, you'll be able to hit the core, and with slide you can just dodge the laser by sliding from one side to the other, making it a pretty safe way of dealing with this phase without taking any damage, albeit a lot slower since you won't be able to land any double hits. And that's Graham down for Derxu too. Very stressful there without any healing. But he should be able to grab some healing at the Hammer Shop before headed off to Julius. And Lunix into the other side of Floating Gardens, off to fight Julius right now. Can you get double hits even when crouching, Smile? I have not tried that. You have to be like right out your core. Interesting. On to Julius. 6,000 HP, 4,000 in the first phase, 2,000 in the second. Double hits are doable, but pretty tough, but still a lot easier than on Graham's phase 1 and 2. Derxu headed straight to Gardens. Did he not grab healing? This could be dangerous. These last two fights are also very tough. So if you're walking into these without a lot of healing, it could be a bit dangerous here. Some very solid Manticore hits here for Lunix, dealing a lot of damage. And already on to phase 2. The Grand Cross, and now Julius with half as much health. Ooh, Positron strats for Julius. Very smart. The range of Positron makes this a very safe fight compared to Lunix with Final Sword, though still taking a lot of hits. As Positron with cancels, you can hit Julius from more or less the entire screen away, and every 4 hits, that is about 2 Positron attacks, Julius will stagger. Hearing the Todome Da from Soma on Lunix's side, even when not actually dealing damage, that voice line does signal that the next attack will kill, or that the enemy is very low. I don't know the exact translation. Lunix choosing to skip these chaotic checks. Given his gear situation, there's not a whole lot that it could help him. The only upgrades we could see would be Demon's Mail. Derxu choosing to reset out of this fight and give it a second try, taking a bit less damage this time. Google Translate says it's a stop. Would it be this is it? Because that's what I think it means. But I didn't want to be like, look how much Japanese I know, without actually knowing any Japanese. Lunix is into the chaos fight. With Final Sword and Black Belt, this shouldn't... well, he doesn't have Black Belt, actually. With Final Sword, this should go pretty quickly. First phase has 0 defense, so you're going to be dealing a lot of damage, especially with some double hits here. In the second phase, Final Sword can actually triple hit, hitting 2 hits on the bottom eye and once on the top eye, allowing you to take those eyes down very quickly. Of course, Chaos is still one of the hardest bosses in this game. There is always a constant threat of getting comboed by Chaos's orbs and the Bone Dragon, which combined will deal hundreds of damage. It's the Aria of JoJo, true. We're seeing Lunix here using some very good backdash cancels to hit both the core and an eye at the same time with a single attack. This is a strat you more commonly see with Claim, where you can do it by just stepping back and forth while attacking, but it's possible with all of the big weapons, so Claim, Excalibur, Final Sword. It allows you to get in some of that core damage before the phase even starts. Derxu still no healing, on to phase 2 of Julius, but at 1 HP. Well, 1 hit. And using that Manticore on the core for Lunix, dealing a lot of damage. Julius goes down for Derxu, almost gets hit by the cross at the end there, but just manages to dodge it. And Derxu is on to Chaotic Realm. Lunix hitting 28 times 2 on the core, 3000 HP for a body part. This should go down pretty quickly. And that's GG for Lunix. Sub 50. I think we're probably going to see Derxu giving it a single try at Chaos. Just see if he can. Did see him using that positron rifle to great effect against Julius, managing to complete it with very minimal damage. And we may as well see that again against the Fate Chaos, as with 0 defense, the eyes and part of the core, or the eyes and the parts at the start, are very vulnerable to multi-hitting weapons like positron, to the point where it can conceivably deal a comparable amount of damage as Final Sword. So this will let Derxu get through phases 1 and the eyes very quickly, especially if we see him use that Medusa head soul that dropped from the needles. Shields and Une were both very helpful indeed. Seen that Final Sword in Phase 1. Like I said, Positron can compare, but Final Sword is the best weapon in the game for a reason. And that reason is those double hits. Now we're seeing a couple of those double hits on the left side, able to hit the top and the bottom with a single jump. I've never actually seen this one. By staying super close to the left side, Derxu is able to hit the top eye twice, and the bottom eye once. That's 2 eyes down already. The Derxu is very low, and has no healing to speak of. Well, that's a death for Derxu. We'll be giving it a second try. With the gear that he has, this isn't too bad of a fight. It's really good Medusa strat with Final Sword too. That's true. I was taking a lot of damage early from that Final Sword from Positron, though we are seeing it does deal quite a bit of damage. Yeah, if I remember correctly, you're just floating like around the middle of the arena with Medusa head, and your Final Sword will hit 3 times. And you get to skip the act of actually jumping up. Down to 21 HP already on this attempt. Could see a pretty short try here. Using this Yasutsuni here on the bottom eye, it hits twice, and with 0 defense, that eye can be shredded very quickly. Ooh, but that Bone Snake just coming out of left field. Very little time to react for Derxu, especially with the thorns coming out from the middle. This fight can be brutal if you have some unluck. I'm back to Final Sword. Ooh, man, that Bone Snake is hating Derxu today. Comes out of the bottom there. Very unlucky positioning. We're seeing here that though Final Sword is the best weapon in the game, due to it being a heavy weapon and requiring backdash canceling, the mobility that Soma loses during hectic fights like Chaos can be very hindering. You get caught by a lot of attacks that normally you'd be able to walk out of the way if you were using, say, Claim or Levitain. And Dirks is choosing to call it there. And given enough attempts into Chaos.